All right, well, let's get this thing going, folks. All right. All right, so the last few weeks we have been learning about language, the truth hidden inside the language, and where the deceiver deceives us with the very words that we speak. Here's the kicker, though. He meets you where you are and guides you to all truth. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, anoint this messenger today. Let the seed fall on good ground. Let your word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in the thing where you sent it. All right, guys, here we go. He meets you where you are and guides you to all truth. If you are stagnant in your relationship with the Almighty, you're not moving. You've backslid. Okay? And this is the key. So let's start this off. Review. When we speak from our highest level of ignorance at that current time. What does that mean?
We speak and don't think.
That's right. We speak from our highest level of ignorance. The finite doesn't quite comprehend the infinite. The creation can never quite comprehend the Creator. When we can see the fraud, the lie, we can uncover the truth. Now, this is the most important part about this whole fraud within the language, right? That's why when you go to the courtrooms, they speak legalese. You don't know the difference between dog Latin. We don't know our Christian names. We take the surname. All these things, right? It's all important. It's all very important, because once you can peel away the lie, you can see the truth. Let the Spirit of truth guide us today as we look a little deeper into what we have learned in the previous studies. Remove pride. What's the first sin? Lucifer. Pride. Pride. Let us remain humble and seek only the truth. Zephaniah 3:8, the conversion of the nations. Therefore wait you upon me, saith Yahuwah, until the day that I rise up to the prey. That's one of those key words, right? This is the phonetic Kabbalah. Are you praying or are you the prey? Okay? For my determination is to gather all the nations. Did he just say the white people or the black people or the red people? All right. That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Zephaniah 3:9. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahuwah, to serve him with one consent. What day is this? What day are we talking about? This is key now. Only on that day will we have a pure language again. Whose creation? Who's running this place right now? Who offered the world, the kingdoms, to Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ? Who offered it to him? That's right. So when are we going to get a pure language? On that day. On that day. The remnant, Zephaniah 3:11. In that day, when we're speaking of that day, we know it's the return. Okay? Thou shalt not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. For then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride. And thou shalt no more be haughty because of my holy mountain. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahuwah. Now, did he say the rich?
No.
No. He sure didn't. Zephaniah 3:13. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. And Yahuwah shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Yahuwah, and his name one. That's Zechariah 14:9, right here, by the way, folks. What did he just say? Pay attention. And the Yahuwah shall be king over all earth. In that day shall there be one Yahuwah, and his name one. No more 1,000 different names. So when he makes the language pure again, we'll know. Okay? All right. So let's move on forward with this. Something to think about, folks. I have a huge critical thinking study today, because we've been missing out on it the last couple of weeks with diving deep into the language and showing you the fraud. So we're going into critical thinking a lot today. And We have to recognize the signs for the times that we live in. Okay? This thing isn't going to get better, folks. It's just not going to get better unless you force the area around you. What can you change? You can't change nobody but who? Yourself. Jesus answered them, I told you, and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But you believe not, because you are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. One of the big questions, right, that a lot of people have been asking me the last few weeks is, which of the Bibles is the true Bible? Which is it? Paleo Hebrew? Is it this Bible? Is it this Bible? It's the one that talks to you. My words are spirit and they are life. It is quicker than any two-edged sword. They're life. You'll find them if you seek it. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. Can't happen. Once you do really go through the rebirth and you come out anew, you're a different person. Don't backslide. Don't go backwards. Continue forward. This life's a struggle, man. It really is. My Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are what? One. So where's the Trinity come from? The Trinity.
It was Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. I want y'all to think about this, folks. Remember, slow down when you're reading something. It's there for a reason. Uncover the lie, you'll find the truth. Discussion. Don't ever become so arrogant or prideful to think you have it all figured out already. Every time I do, every time I think I've got this thing figured all the way out, I'm shown a new path. And I'm shown, you're just beginning. When we close our eyes and ears, we can no longer be led by the Spirit of truth, and instead live in our own echo chambers. And this is that pride where you think you know it all. Test the scriptures. In them you will find the truth. So is there a pure language today? No. It's not going to happen until when? On that day. But my purpose of this study is to show you the fraud, the deceit. That is what we do here. Why? Because they can no longer deceive you when you are armed with the truth. That's that sword of truth that you break out. Nescience. That's a Latin word too. So scientia is the root word for science, knowledge. That's what it really means. Nescience is not to know, be ignorant, to fail to recognize, to be unable to do. Nescio quid. I know not who or what, somebody or something. Now, what's the difference between nescience and ignorance? Anybody? Anybody? No, it's not. Ignorance, countable and uncountable, plural, ignorances. The condition of being uninformed or uneducated, lack of knowledge or information. And this is why you have these statements. Ignorant, willful ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. The difference between nescience and ignorance is this. Nescience, you have never been shown. This is the current reality that we're in, where you go to the indoctrination centers and they indoctrinate you into a belief that is completely false. Evolution, Big Bang, all these things, they just indoctrinating you in to the occult psychodrama. Okay? Ignorance is you got up to that door, the truth showed itself to you, and what'd you choose to do? You choose to ignore it. And you decided that ignorance was bliss. That is the difference between the two. So when we choose to be ignorant, what happens? Well, we become morally responsible for that truth that we now know. Okay? So understand this. The reason why I show everybody how I do these studies is because I'm morally responsible to show you how to do it. Not just me to hold the information and show you little bits and pieces and keep it from people. No, here I want to give everything that I know and how I did it to everyone. That's why we do the study like this and we show. The condition of being uninformed. Ignorant, willful ignorance, and ignorance is bliss. Aleister Crowley, so we're still on language now. Understand this. This is from Aleister Crowley's book, First Method. Let the exempt adept first train himself to think backwards. By external means, as set forth here following, let him learn to write backwards with either hand. Let him learn to walk backwards. Let him constantly watch, if convenient, cinema films and listen to phonographic records reversed. And let him so accustom himself to these that appear natural and appreciable as whole. Let him practice speaking backwards. Thus for, I'm not even going to say it, let him learn to read backwards. In this, it is difficult to avoid cheating oneself, as an expert reader sees a sentence at a glance. Let his disciple read aloud to him backwards, slowly at first, then more quickly. Of his own imagination, let him devise other methods. So here comes the question, folks. If the English language, and everybody, I had a choice here to put in the Leonard Skinner songs and the Yes We Can from Obama, where if you play it backwards, it says something else, right? I had that choice, but I'm not going to put that witchcraft in here. And most of the people out there, y'all should know about this. So what does that tell you about the English language, if you can do that? It was built into it. And this is key. All right? And from this point, we're going to go into the next stage of why this is important to guard yourself and choose your words wisely. The old Adam, think before you speak. Most people don't do it. Reactions, the mouth floods, and just emotions and feelings come. Think, choose your words wisely. Phonetic Kabbalah. Let us use logic and reason. If the English language can be played backwards and say something totally different than played frontwards, that would mean it was built into the language. Correct? That's logic. I will not play anything, but most already know this to be true. We see the fraud. Okay? That's the first and foremost thing. That's the purpose of the study, to see the fraud. All right? And the language of Babel. But what do we do now? After the Tower of Babel, when he babbled all the languages, did he ever bring everybody back together and give them one pure language? All right. So, follow me. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? First, let us make a clear distinction. Yahusha doesn't tell you. You have to grow first. And he meets you at the bottom. My worst period of my life, that's where he met me. And I've had to climb my way back out. And sometimes I've rejected the knowledge. I'm no different than anybody else. I have cognitive dissonance too. It's too much. This can't be real, and you go back and hide. But let me tell you something, folks. There's a saying that goes around that most people have heard, but they don't realize how true it is. The truth is stranger than fiction. And that's a fact, Jack. That's a fact. But you can't stay there, folks, where he meets you. That's the next thing, right? You can't just stay there. If you've been going to church for 40 and 50 years and you are still getting the same lecture, the same sermon every Sunday, well, guess what, folks? You ain't growing. And that's why they stay with the milk. They don't get to the meat. You know, easy believe with me. 1, 2, 3, believe with me, and everybody's saved. That's just not the case. That's not truth. We can all backslide. You have to grow. To protect oneself from the enemy, you have to learn the devices of the enemy. Once you know the truth, you are morally responsible to tell it. What's the hardest thing to do in the world? I just did it a little while ago with a buddy of mine. What's the hardest thing in the world to tell somebody? The truth. You can lie to them all day long. They flow right off the tongue. You can tickle people's ears all they want. Look somebody in the eye and tell them the truth, though. It's the most uncomfortable feeling. Why? It's our sinful nature. No hiding. You can't hide from it. That's why I put myself out there. I put myself on YouTube. There's no hiding, folks. You're not going to go run outside and put your head in the sand. They chemtrailing us to death. They fluoriding our water. They poisoning our foods. Hey, folks, it's nowhere to run. They're about to start installing 5G right in your neighborhood, just straight up destroying your DNA. There ain't no hiding. Some can handle a lot more than others, while some don't have the proper tools to recognize some of these deep truths. What's that mean? Some don't have the intelligence to gather all of this stuff. Does that mean they don't get to go to heaven? They don't have a love for our Creator? No, it does not. Never put yourself in the place of the Almighty. Never. Some will say intent has absolutely nothing to do with the words we speak. Let us turn to the Word for guidance. Mercy goes with truth. They go hand in hand. If you don't have empathy for your fellow man, it doesn't matter how much truth you tell them. And this is key. I used to take my Bible and beat people upside the head with it. How far did that go?
Not very far.
It didn't go far at all. What you do, you trigger a person's defense mechanisms. That's the first thing that comes up. You trigger it. And now you can't reach them. The only way you can reach somebody is through what? Truth and love, mercy, have compassion on them. They are just as indoctrinated as everybody else around you. And I still got to work on this today. There's one very important person in my life that I still want to reach. And man, I've got to get better at talking to her. Proverbs 16:1, the preparations of the heart in man, the intentions of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from Yahuwah. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. And this is the important part. But Yahuwah weigheth the spirits. Get that? I don't care. And listen, at Revelation 21, I can't remember what verse it is, where he talks about the Lamb's Book of Life's been opened up. The second judgment on works is opened up. And he sits there and he wipes the tears from their eyes. And why does he wipe the tears from their eyes? Because he knows how hard it is going to be to read that list, and people you think are saved and righteous people have held contempt and hate for the Almighty in their heart. Commit thy works unto Yahuwah, and thy thoughts shall be established. And this is the key, right? This is another key. Works are a result of what? Faith. Well, when your works are in the right place, your thoughts are going to be in the right place. Man, if y'all could only see, and I may do this one week, I'll show y'all my notes for a week. I've got a list this long of how much I think about these studies. It is what is on my mind all day, every day. Yahuwah hath made all things for himself. Get that off there. Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone that is proud in heart, there's that pride again, is an abomination to Yahuwah. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. By mercy and truth, inequity is purged. And by the fear of Yahuwah, men depart from evil. By truth and mercy, folks, not just truth. Learn how to deliver it in a way that people take it without triggering defense mechanisms.
Yeah, that's really true.
Does you no good if you trigger somebody. By thy words, thy intent, which Yahusha doth know. John 15:2, every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh it away. By your fruits are you judged. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken to you. That word is the Logos. From everlasting to everlasting. You're going to find it if you seek it. Psalm 36:2, for he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. So intent plays a big part, right? So even though they've encoded all this hateful stuff, phonetic Kabbalah, They've hidden the legal system from us, where you got to go join the Saturnalia Club. That's why we've gone through this. The judges wear all black. They're mourning the death of a living man and woman on the land, and they all part of the same gang, okay? Even though they do all this, they can't stop the intent of the heart, okay? But I say unto you, now here's the big but. It's always a but, right? There's always a but. There's a thin line to travel. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Choose to speak wisely. Once you have been brought to the truth, and I've told y'all, I used to tell y'all this all the time, it'd be better never to come back to this study if you're not going to change your ways. Because now you've been brought to the truth. Now you are morally responsible for that truth. Choose our words wisely. The purpose of showing everyone the fraud within the language is for you to protect yourself from those who intend to do you harm. That's the whole purpose. Once cognizant of our enemy's devices, we are better prepared for war. And make no mistake, folks, we are at war. We don't know it. And we still, and I'm going to show y'all Yuri Bezmenov today. And, you could take and shove document after document after document. The fact that they put all these aluminums and mercury in our medicine and our food, and people still don't get, oh no. No, ain't no conspiracy. Well, it's not a conspiracy. They tell you the whole way. Make no doubt about it, folks. This is war, and one side is fast asleep while the other is encircling the encampment. They've circled around us. They ready, and we're still fast asleep. The apostate church just do. Words are important. They have meaning. Once you grasp this, discipline will come. It took me months to remove LORD out of my vocabulary. It takes months. Okay? Do not be afraid to speak, though, as intent is not irrelevant. Intent has meaning. At the end of the day, we will not be judged by men. Thank Yahuwah on that. So I got a lot to do today in critical thinking. I've been watching this stuff play out. Did y'all watch the what's this lady's name, the Imlam Oran stuff? What do y'all think about that? How did they use that particular situation in the Hegelian dialectic? Anybody?
I don't think I watched it.
We're going to learn about it today. How did they use white nationalism and black Hebrews movements and the Black Lives Matter movements as part of the dialectic?
They're so discontent.
That's right. Anybody know about psychological command operations? U.S. government? You'll see right here, this is U.S. Army U Press. Persuade, change, influence. There's your SS. That's the same Nazi symbols from the SS. That's lightning. And then the horse. The horse on the chessboard has a pretty weird move. It's an L. It's an L. What's the L, capital L stand for in the English language? Lucifer.
50.
So let's read this. Psychological operations are critical to the success of the U.S. Army during both war and peacetime. Yet in 2010, the term psychological operations was deemed too menacing by the DOD, which then directed the Army to replace it with a new term, MISO. However, these units have returned to the use of PSYOP per U.S. Army Special Operations Command as of October 27, 2017. So, they're running psychological operations. Do we think that's just aimed at foreign?
No.
No, because all you have to do, why do you think they keep bringing immigrants in here? To run psychological operations on the American people, naturalized citizens on the TV or anything else. What has to be in place for it to be, quote unquote, legal? Only one foreign citizen has to see it. Only one. Will Stanton, this is some more. This is the Psychological Operations Regimental Association. And this is some more quotes from that same article. I just want y'all to know I just wanted to show the proof that I didn't go get it from Johnny Tutu's blog somewhere. Will Stanton mentioned that bullets do not kill ideas, and absent a superior ideology to complement necessary use of force, a hot war against an idea is destined to be a losing prospect. A war of ideas will not be won with bullets. Well, they know that. What happened during the Inquisitions and the Reformation when they started killing all the Protestants and they burned them on the stakes, and the people on the stake were sitting there screaming, Jesus Christ, and they never gave up their faith? What happened? What happened? Christianity spread like wildfire. Go back and read your history books, folks. It spread like wildfire. So what do? They got smart, right? So now we ideologically subvert you. PSYOP compels the enemy to surrender or submit without the use of physicality. Now that the term PSYOP has returned, we can focus on PSYOP's ability to operate both comfortably and obliquely in the psychological battle space within the gray matter of the adversary and foreign populations instead of confusing ourselves. I'm going to give you a little deal here. Y'all know about the Kabbalah. 7 plus 4 is 11. 2 8s is 88. So you've got Mercury and you've got 11. 88 is Mercury. The objective of U.S. military information support operations is to convince enemy, neutral, and friendly nations and forces to take action favorable to the United States and its allies. Military information support operations support national security objectives at the tactical, operational, strategic levels of operations. Both tactical and theater level MISO may be used to enhance peacetime military activities of conventional and special operation forces operating in foreign countries. Cultural awareness packages, blah, 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 blah. What's a way they did this a few months ago when they said, we're pulling the troops from Syria? Did they ever pull the troops from Syria? We know for a fact they didn't. Somebody personal to us actually went to Syria at the time. But what happened? Let me show you how the dialectic works, folks. Because when they did that, all the Democrats, all the people that hate Trump went crazy. Woo! So what happened now? Oh, we're going back to Syria. Well, now, they just got the people who are supposed to be opposed to war because of their confirmation bias on who Trump is to cheer to go back to war. This is how it works every time. So it's just crazy once you see it. And once you see it for what it is, this is the 4th Psychological Operations Unit. This is right off of Twitter. The 4th Psychological Operations Group is one of the United States Army's active military information support operation units, along with the 8th Psychological Operations Group, which was activated 26 August 2011 at Fort Bragg. You know, it's kind of funny, man, because if you pay attention to the details, you'll find their blueprint on everything. The 4th and the 8th. 4 is Jupiter, 8 is Saturn. That's the interlaced triangles. There's your Star of David, rim fan. Right there, boom, right off the rip. Before I even look any further, here's your bolts, and we've got alchemy right here in this symbol. Here we got Lucifer riding on the Pegasus. I mean, just all these symbols. They saying something. Can you read them? That's the key. Can you read what they're saying? 8/26/2011. 8. And then 13. What's 13? 175. Flight 175. What's the number 13 mean? Abracadabra. Reduces to 13. Let's go down here. Reduces to 13, equivalent to 418, abracadabra, manifestation, which also reduces to 13, generally representative of magic or ritual workings. You notice the way they spell the magic, right, with the K. That's Aleister Crowley. That's your Kabbalistic magic. In the details, you will find the devil. So this is the 4th and 8th command centers. That represents Jupiter and Saturn. The American people are the enemy of the state. And listen, I dare anybody to go look up the Trading with the Enemy Act. when Roosevelt took all the gold from everybody. I dare you. Please go look it up. Here I've got Yuri Bezmenov, but we went through this last week, what mimetic warfare is, right? The cognitive scientists, cultural anthropologists, behavior scientists, and game theory experts must be included as professional meme-wielding gunfighters on future battlefields. The U.S. must recognize the growing need for emerging disciplines in ideological warfare by weaponeering memes. Now, hold on, folks. Ideological warfare. That's a war of ideas. That's subverting. That's cultural subversion. Let's see it back in 1983, what KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov had to say about that.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means
What did he just say? Psychological warfare. Where is that being run now? Right here by your own military. Better pay attention, folks.
to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in four basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy.
So what happens to this generation of students going through the public education center right now that told they can be unicorns, they can be whatever they want, we're going to do sex change operations on them. It doesn't even matter what the parents want, we're just going to give them the SSI drugs and they can become whatever they want. What do you think's going to happen, folks? We don't have 15, 20 years at this current stage. We just don't. This was back in 1983.
Exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals.
And I'll put this in the show notes for those who don't see it, but you get the overall gist.
Well, you spoke several times.
You get the overall gist, right? So let's see Mercury, right? And I want y'all to pay attention to this little deal right here. I'm not going to go into this too deep today because we've hashed over it. But why do they keep using the number 88? Transformation is initiated by a chance occurrence. The magician, the king of the Saturnalia, is chosen by Lot, and during his 7-day reign, his whim is law. And other people will be made kings or beggars, winners or losers by his caprice. He rolls his dice, and others must obey. He's unpredictable, more curious. Thus he is called the Lord of Chance. And you can read it, guys. Pause it if you want to. But right here, the one tower and the two dice. I beg you to go look at an overhead view of the one tower in New York City and the two cubes they've got set in the ground. It's one tower and two dice. Folks, this is real. These people believe and have the faith to carry it out. The magician is one of the four agents of transformation. He is the psychopomp. He leads souls across boundaries into new realms. He is the guide teacher we encounter. He's the yin and the yang. He's the duality. He's the deceiving orator yet honest prophet, illusionist yet revealer of truth. This is that duality that they always speak of. You can do good out one side of your mouth. You can do bad out the other side of the mouth because it evens out in the universe. The magician is the alchemical Mercury who will unite the salt of the Empress. That's the White Queen, and the sulfur of the Emperor. That's the Red King. And listen, folks, you'll find this in everything. Pay attention. Pay attention to these movies that you allow to bypass your conscious mind. I catch it in every one of them. He will preside over the marriage of the lunar high priestess and the solar high priest. That's all it is. It's the merger of the male and female. This is a religion. This isn't by accident. This is why they are alchemically changing us. I just wanted to throw that in there. Because, and here we go again. Now, we're going to watch this whole thing. I want y'all to pay attention. This is at a TED Talk. I told y'all 6 years ago where this was going. And you can bet your butt it's going there.
Not even with his best friend or with his parents. He's just too afraid of anger, rejection, and repulsion. Jonas knows that he has to suppress his sexual drive for his entire life. And he also knows that there will never be a loving and fulfilling partnership that he can enter. Because Jonas is a pedophile.
Oh my goodness, poor Jonas.
He's only attracted to female children between the ages of 6 and 12 years. Like every other sexual orientation, pedophilia can have different characteristics. For example, it can be heterosexual, it can be homosexual, bisexual. Within the male population, 1 to 2% are considered to be.
So what's the psychological operations? I just want to show you about this Pizza Gate and all these other gates. What are they doing? There you go. Bingo. Bingo. They normalizing it. They showing you how much is out there. And now we're going to have to say, well, this is a big enough problem. You got to start recognizing the dialectic at play. They give the people the breadcrumbs. The people on social media chase their tails around and round in circles. And they helping the enemy because they don't understand the enemy.
Pedophiles. This translates to about 60 million people worldwide. This is as much as the population of Italy or of South Africa.
Oh, that does it. Well, maybe we should legalize it.
Pedophilia is not an irrelevant phenomenon we can't simply ignore.
And you know why it's not a irrelevant phenomenon? You want to know what? If you go back to Greece, you go back to the Ottoman Empire, you go back to Rome, I don't care where you go in time, in history. You want to know where the downfall of a society is? It's in the age of decadence. It's when the men become effeminate and you have no protectors. It is over. I don't care which stage you go to. I don't care where you go research. You'll find the common thread through all of them. In the age of decadence, they become he-she's.
Every one of you knows at least one pedophile, are higher than that you don't know anyone. So generally speaking, anyone could be born
There it goes.
a pedophile.
There it goes. There it is. Born that way. Now, you got to let them all in. They didn't choose. They were born that way. Now, let me tell you something, folks. That's a lie. That's a lie straight from the pit of hell. You have chosen to do what you do. Free will. That was the greatest gift ever given to mankind, is the gift of free will. You don't have to go to heaven. You can go another place. You don't have to do good. You can do bad. What we're going to make is the automatons, the robots, right? Whatever they're programmed to do, they can do. We were given free will. And to say that you don't is just foolish.
It is crucial to understand the difference between pedophilia and child sexual abuse.
Oh, yeah, it's not even child abuse. They just love each other. And see, this is what I'm talking about, folks. And I'm tired of listening to it. I get so doggone mad. I get so angry. I get so angry about this. So how do we find the dialectic? Now, here we go. Remember I told you about the black and white, the white nationalism, black Hebrew movements. What today is about is showing you how you see the dialectic. Here's Alexander Dugin. He's a national Bolshevik. What's a national Bolshevik? The Bolsheviks that killed 66 million Christians in communist Russia. Oh, your history books didn't tell you about that. That's right. They didn't. So the infiltrators infiltrate everything. This is Richard Spencer. Look, Marx was kind of right. Bourgeois capitalism created an undifferentiated and alienated proletarian mass. Listen, capitalism and communism have the same goal. They just go different routes. Capitalism is buying all the mega mergers. Business runs. It is corporate fascism. Then you have Mike Enoch, Richard Spencer, Matthew. This is David Duke with Alexander Dugin. This is Dugin's symbol. This is the chaos theory, eight stars. Here, and you go through here. Milo Yiannopoulos infiltrated the alt-right. All these alt-right players are the same people. It's the same what? Bolsheviks, Jews. Now, people are going to get upset when I say that. That's the truth. And do with it what you will. They're only going to give you half the truth. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. It's the two-faced hypocrite. There, Jews support Black Lives Matter. There's Egerman Steyer. There's George Soros. What's George Soros? They talk about him all the time, but they don't out his belief system. What is he? He's a Jew. Hey, look, man, who runs Hollywood? Milo Yiannopoulos had the gall to tell you on Breitbart News who runs Hollywood, who runs the bank system, and now Americans can't do it yet. Milo Yiannopoulos did it right there on TV. We do run the bank system. We over and over again, folks. Here it is, how a rabbi-led LGBT clergy are supporting Black Lives Matter. If they can get you to focus on stuff that has no consequence, and you get sucked into this white nationalism, this black Hebrew movement, or any of these other splinter cells, let me tell you something, folks, who's behind it? If they can get you to not focus on the enemy, their job is complete. And let me show you how they infiltrate. Anybody heard of Hasbara or Cyan? Hasbara is an online deal where they scour the internet every time. I almost want to say it's just algorithms themselves. I don't even know if they're real people, but this one's a real person because what he brought to light. But they're always there sowing discord. This is a comment I made on Richie from Boston's YouTube channel the other day. And all I said was, it's there for those with eyes to see. One common enemy. Better learn who that enemy is. And I name Trump Kabbalah teacher is the same as Madonna. Here's this dude right here, Nick Vasquez. Have you guys ever studied the Kabbalah? I have, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Well, you know what's funny, folks? When you're ignorant, you wouldn't know there's a difference between the Kabbalah spelled with a Q and the Kabbalah spelled with a K, or the Kabbalah spelled with the C. But because I have studied it, what's the difference between the Kabbalah, the Q? Well, the Q Kabbalah goes through the Klipoth. That's the hidden path, okay? That goes, the tree of life has a tree of death, okay? That's the duality. The tree of life has a tree of death. When you travel through the Klipoth, you've traveled through death, which is Darth Vader, where the name Darth Vader comes from. But anyway, and I tell him, then you would know the variation you speak of Kabbalah is speaking of the Klipoth. Get out of here, you little deceiver. And somebody made a post, "'Tis true, there's dark to the tree and the light." And Nick Vasquez says, "Oh yeah, Kabbalah and the Klipoth." Yes, indeed. Well, let me tell you something, folks. When you see a Spanish Jew with the name EZ on the end of their name, or ES, what does that stand for? Not every time, but most of the time. It stands for Eretz Zion. That's a Jew. Who else studies the Kabbalah? Well, if you study Kabbalah, unfortunately, because of our language barriers, I don't know what else to call them except the synagogue of Satan, because this is what they do. They infiltrate, they plant seeds of discord. Now let's see what the Kabbalah has to do over here. Kabbalah, Klipoth, and Goetic magic. How does this have to do in your normal day life? Who's seen The Wizard of Oz? I have. What's The Wizard of Oz about?
Deception.
Huh? We'll see it right here. There's the Emerald Book of Thoth, Emerald City. Toto's the dog star, Sirius. There's the dragon with fire. That's why they were doing the fire. You had the black witch, you had the white witch, right? What brought her on her way home? The ruby red slippers. It was with her the whole time. You watched alchemy. You didn't even know it. When you got to the Wizard of Oz, it was the hidden hand behind the curtain. It's in everything. It's in everything once you have eyes to see it. There's the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. Who's Hermes? Mercury. They're always pulling this. There's the Caduceus going up into the rising phoenix, the one world, the black and the white, the duality. Once you can see it, it'll never hurt you again. The dialectic. How the problem, reaction, solution paradigm works. The government creates or exploits a problem, then attributes the blame to others. They did it with this Imam Aram lady, whatever. Listen, folks, that lady is a plant from the get-go. Guess what happened after she come out there and she told the truth, though, about AIPAC running our government? Guess what happened? The House unanimously passed the anti-Semitism bill. So guess what you just lost? Truth needs no defense. Truth needs no defense. Only a lie needs protection. The populace reacts by asking the government for protection and help solve the problem. The government offers the solution that was planned by them long before the crisis occurred. Outcome. Every time, this is the dialectic. The outcome of the dialectic is you have lost your rights and your freedoms. Every time. Every time. It never fails. Oh, we got people crossing the border. Guess what? Oh, we're going to build a fence and we got national ID cards. Oh, let's go. Folks, let me tell you something. Let me tell you right now, one day you're going to want to get out that fence. A framework for guiding thoughts and actions into conflicts that lead to synthetic solutions which can only be introduced once those being manipulated take a side that will advance the predetermined agenda. Controlled opposition, problem, reaction, solution. So that's why you have all these gatekeepers in the white nationalist movement. That's why you got all these gatekeepers in the Hebrew roots movement. That's why you got them in the Black Lives Matter. As long as they are there sowing discord and getting you to focus on stuff that you don't need to be focused on, they're winning. They're winning. The Times of Israel. Which one's the truth? Mike Pence warns about a new Holocaust being planned by Iran. That's the world news. Well, heck, I just read in the Times Israel that Israel and Iran both set to join Russian-led free trade zone. Which one's the truth? Well, I'll tell you which one's the truth. They all in on it. They're going to tell you got to be scared, be afraid. That's the dialectic. This was the result of this Ilhan Omar. Unanimously passes language condemning anti-Semitism. Folks, if Judaism is a religion, and that's what it is, why can't it take no condemnation? And if it was wrapped in truth, does it need defense? No, it does not. So you just lost your First and Fourth Amendment. Ilhan Omar, she plays her part on the grand stage, tells the absolute truth about AIPAC, but she herself is a planted stooge to fulfill the dialectic. That's why, what happened as soon as she made that statement about AIPAC? They character assassinated her right off the rip. Like nobody knew that she married her brother to get here. Character assassination. Once character assassination comes, then what was said is no longer important. People start reacting with emotions instead of using their higher mind, and they fall for the junk. The truth was what she said in the beginning, but nobody's focused on that anymore. Why? Because the wood from the holly tree, Hollywood, and lies on the news, truth in the movies, folks. Fictionalize the truth so the truth seems like fiction. The truth is stranger than fiction. This is psyops and psychological and command centers in plain view for anyone with eyes to see it. The pace is picking up. Let us be armed with the spirit of truth. And I'm telling you, folks, this stuff is going faster. We are losing rights every time they do a bill now. What's going to happen to people like me when they pass this stuff? I'm morally responsible to tell the truth now. I'm going to be a criminal. I have to choose, right? I have to choose between my creator or their laws. What are we to do? Better wake up to the times we're in. Test the spirits and know Yahushua is love. 1 John 4:4. You are of God, little children, of the Most High, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. We are of the Most High. He that knoweth God heareth us. He that is not of God heareth not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. This is the truth, folks. This is the truth. This is the reality. 1 John 4:7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of Yahuwah, and everyone that loveth is born of Yahusha, and knoweth Yahuwah. He that loveth not knoweth not God. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. For he is love. The hardest thing to do is to tell people the truth. Nobody told you it was going to be easy. While everybody's around here clapping and slapping around on Sundays, there's a war going on. Where's the church? Hopefully they start waking up. I hope so. Study material. I ask people to go look up these words, Sayanim and Hasbara. Please go research these terms, as I will speak about them soon. I just can't fit everything in one study. I'm telling you, man, if the way my mind works, we'd have a 3-hour study right here. And I could go for hours and hours. But that's going to be it. I did cut it a little bit short. Ladies and gentlemen, the answers aren't always cut and dry. Search the scriptures and prove all things. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. Set aside your petty differences. The people out there that saying, you got to say it this way, you got to do it this way, you got to do it this way. Hey man, let me tell you something. You don't know. Humble yourself. Humble yourself. We're all seeking truth. We all want the full answers. But what did Daniel do? The book of Daniel? Close the book. Some things won't be known till when? Till that day. You must set aside truth and mercy to force you to believe on someone else. And Daniel, he shuts the book, and some things will not be known until the end, folks. Can you live with that? I can. I love passing knowledge, but sometimes I hit a wall and I go, well, you know what? Maybe it's just not for me to know. I can't, as I know, with whom what did I write there? That my friends can never be taken away unless you allow it. That, my friends, I know with whom I have believed. That, my friends, can never be taken away unless you allow it. Missing some commas there. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. You can't. Stay in the truth. Stay in it, folks. Hold fast that which is good. Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for giving me this message this week. Let this fruit fall on good ground. Let thy word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in the thing where you sent it. Let's see. How do I turn this thing off?